If it hurts, you ain't breaks, no hits, you know it up, put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, 2 games after this win in. First you again, here for the first minute. Can't block you never 6 minutes.
Just go win them all, man. I say that. Our team goal in general just win the East. So we're focused on that. But you know, we're taking it week by week, one opponent at a time, and just being the best each week, each Saturday, being the best team on the field.
Unbelievable place. Great university. Knoxville's unbelievable city, great people. The passion for football is even greater than I thought it would be. And man, you know, Neyland Stadium, I said it, you know, a couple of years ago, and I still think it's the best football experience for a college football fan or a player in the country.
The culture that Hype and everyone has created in this building, it's been phenomenal on teams, and we're only going to continue to be better. And the standard around here, I've said it before, I'll say it again, standards to be the damn best. And we're never stopping.
Do you remember when we fell in love? I remember, don't worry. Do you remember? I remember how it all began. How could I ever forget? It's the first time. Do you remember? I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it coming in the air now. I can feel it. I can feel it, I can feel it, it's coming in the air now. Oh, we fell in love, you remember the time. How could I ever forget? You remember the time. Oh, we fell in love, you remember the time. How could I ever forget? Coming in the air now.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley.
It's your boy X.
And I'm Coach Shay.
New night, boys. New night. Same bat time. The fan call-in show took the weekend off. Figured we would slide this thing to Monday because the bye week's over. The bye week is over, Coach. Me and X were talking right before we went live. It was kind of fun for me because Saturday I sat down in a nice comfy recliner. I poured myself a cocktail, and I watched college football with no stress, no pressure, no notepad, no job, no agenda. Just got to watch some good old college football. That's a fun night. Fun night.
Heck yeah. It's always great when you can just sit back and kind of not worry about anything. I still was sweating a little. I had a little fun action on Oklahoma on the money line.
Oh,
so
that was a good game.
Coach Jay made a couple dollars over the weekend. Yeah, it was a fun game. Fun weekend of college football, and right back in the saddle. Time to get going.
Dude, go ahead, X.
Oh, and I was gonna say it's so funny because everybody was tweeting out talking about like, "Hey, is Missouri for real?" I mean, maybe we should be worried about Missouri, but of course we're gonna get into all that here in a second. But yeah, it was a good weekend for football.
Let's run down the chat. Let's see who's hanging out tonight. Chase is here dropping those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. Appreciate that. Trey's in the house says off-week blues are over. That did kind of suck, man. The bye week is so slow and so boring, and it kind of takes some time to get back from it, right? And I know it's a Monday night. The number's going to be down. It's a different night than the usual fan call-in, but it's like we got to pick everybody back up and get fired up for college football because Saturday against Texas A&M is a big one, boys. It is a huge game coming up on Saturday. Dakota is in the house. What's up, my friend? White Lightning, not to be confused with Bob, is here. We'll be sending out the link for you guys to jump on in just a second. Matt Zimmerman's in the house. What's up, brother? Pit Boss is here. Brad's in the house. Now, this is funny. James Bowers says, Boogie, Blowing Rock, Boone, or Grandfather Mountain? My family was in Blowing Rock this weekend. Now, if you guys can tell, I'm decked out for an App State game, and that comes for a reason. James, to answer your question, we stayed on Sugar Mountain, went to Grandfather Mountain on Saturday. Oh, my gosh, was it so packed. It was so packed. We didn't even make it to the top of the mountain because it was a 30-minute wait. So many people there. We did go to Boone yesterday, and then today drove home from Boone or from Sugar Mountain today. And I jumped right on to make the video about Elijah Rushing because that's important. That's breaking news. And my wife's like, you're just going to go right back to work? I thought you were going to wait till 7. And I was like, this is too big. This is too important. I didn't jump into the wardrobe. I don't have a wardrobe team that says, oh, Boogie, it's Monday. This is the hat that you wear. I was wearing this hat because I just picked it up in Boone. But because of the one person in the chat, I'm decked out for you and you only. I doubt you watch this show anyway. But I put on the shirt for you too, just so you would be triggered, just so you would be upset. So whoever you are, I don't even remember your name. I can tell you this. It's never a member of the channel. It's never a member of the channel that gets so upset. So we're decked out. Let's see who else we got now that I had to. Hey, look, it's not just me that yells at people. Josh Pate went ham this weekend because he picked Louisville to upset Notre Dame. And he got roasted, like in the DMs, in the chat, in the comments on Twitter. He saved the receipts, and he went ham on his show last night. Absolutely hilarious. Wes Marshall's here. What's up, brother? All right, let's see. We got a couple of super chats. Angry Titan becomes a new member. He had to have upgraded. Angry Titan's been a member forever. Joey Carroll for 5. Dorothy, let's go, Big Orange. Welcome back. Hope y'all had a great mini vacation. Appreciate that, Joey. Did have a good time with the family over there in the mountains, and then we come back to our mountains. Very strange, but that's what we do. Papa J for 5, time to beat the Aggies and successfully work our way through the rest of the schedule, especially beat Georgia. Thank you, Papa J, for the super chat. Let's start there. Oh, look who's here. Oh, I wore this. I like to deck out in App State stuff just for Nelson too. I tweeted from Boone. It was like an App State man cave sign, and Nelson no-sold it. He didn't even see it. Anyways, let's talk some college football. X, what are your thoughts after a weekend of seeing you were talking about Georgia beat the brakes out of Kentucky, breaks off of Kentucky, Texas A&M. That was an interesting game with Bama. I'm going to send out the link to you guys while we're going right here. But what are your thoughts? How do you feel about Tennessee's back half of the schedule?
It's going to be tough sledding, man. Definitely during that game this is just what I'm thinking is going to happen. It's just I think for Texas A&M, I think it's going to come down to a very heavy defensive game because that front seven is no joke. I mean, because if they were able to hold Alabama to 10 points in the first half, that kind of concerns me a little bit. So I think that Joe Milton just got to come out and he's got to really use that arm talent and beat the Aggies with his arm. I mean, of course, we're going to try to establish the run game a little bit, but with that front seven, man, they look legit. So I think it's going to come down to a very defensive game. I think our defense is going to try to help us come out of this, and we just hope and pray Joe can just get a spark going and, like I said, beat Orange Bowl Joe, right? As far as, like saying Kentucky and Georgia, like I told you, Boogie, it was embarrassing. Like, I mean, and it raises the question, like, is Kentucky really that bad and Georgia's good, or is it vice versa? So I don't know. We'll see once we – go down to Lexington. But then, yeah, man, just all around, just good weekend for college football. What about you, Coach?
Coach, did you watch the Alabama Texas A&M? Did you watch all of it? If it is a weird game, because and I know stats don't always tell the whole story, but when you look at that game number-wise, right, and Alabama turned the football over twice, but then on the flip side of that, Texas A&M didn't score any points off of that. Rushing, 23 yards on the ground for Alabama, 23 yards. If I told you Alabama was going to turn the football over twice and they were only going to run for 23 yards and Milroe had to single-handedly beat Texas A&M, there's no way you're believing that Alabama does that. So how do you feel about Tennessee's schedule based on the games that you watched this past weekend? Because it was a strange week of football for me.
Um, I think I feel like a lot of Vol fans have felt since the beginning of the year a little uneasy. Not necessarily in a bad or a good way, just in a like, eh, we'll see how it goes type way. Maybe I know that might leave something to be desired for everyone, but hopefully we can springboard off of having Mays back. Hopefully that will settle Joe down. I think the defense is going to continue to take steps forward, and that's something we can definitely hang our hat on. The pass rush of Tyler Barron and Pierce in tandem with people like with Lott and Omari, and just the defensive line as a whole is something we can certainly hang our hat on. And linebackers have been getting better and better week by week behind Beasley, and before you know it, we'll get Peely back at some point as well. So that should only sure things up. We'll see if Haddon can continue to make strides in his run support. I know his pass defense for the most part has been pretty good, right? Or a little better than at least people thought initially. So that's great to see. I would like to see Gabe Judy Lawley continue to make strides moving forward. I think we can beat Kentucky. I'm not too worried about Kentucky. I think they're a one-dimensional team, and I think we can shut down that one-dimensional approach pretty easily as long as we don't walk into Lexington with that weak ramen noodles defense that we showed up to the swamp playing. Banks, we're talking to you. You better bring it when we go to Lexington, because there's no excuse for letting Kentucky run all over you when they're one-dimensional like that. As far as A&M goes, yeah, they look good against the run, and they should have probably won that game when you list off all those stats that you rattled off a second ago.
Yeah.
Crazy. But I also think A&M is going to have to answer a couple different questions against the run that Tennessee will demand that they answer, that Bama didn't demand that they answer. One is we're going to spread them out, as everyone knows, right? They're not going to be able to just slide cornerbacks and safeties into the box at free will like they did against Alabama. And second of all, they're not going to be able to shuttle players in and out of the formation over and over again like they did against Alabama. So those guys, your Walter Nolans, your big defensive linemen on Texas A&M, yeah, they're good on first down, second down, third down, but let's see what they're like fifth down, sixth down, seventh down, eighth down as we're marching down the field. Let's see if we can get them sucking gas a little bit, but make no mistake about it. Over the next stretch of games, Joe Milton is going to have to win a game or two at some point, or lose a game at some point. So all eyes on you, Mr. Joe Milton. Let's see what you got. Let's saddle up and let's go.
Let me hit these real quick. BBD upgrades his membership. BBD is going to jump on here in just a second. Matt Falk also becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that, Matt. You guys can jump in on the party. Hit the join button down below. It's only $1. You give a little bit more, you get access to the fan call-in show quicker. And it's not just about the fan call-in show. Some of you guys may want the custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. I try to highlight your comments on live streams, particularly the post-game show when there's 1,000 people in there. Not everybody wants to or has the money to super chat, and it's all good. So I try to highlight those comments and just different perks and benefits. But if you want to get on the fan call-in show, we always start with the $10 tier and higher. And go from there. We try to move our way down if we can. Wayne Starnes for 5 says, WTF? Are you worried about what another man wears for clothing as long as they have clothes on? Please keep that trend going. Go Vols. I saw somebody else say in the chat, they said, I don't care what Boogie says or wears, I just like to give him a hard time about it. You can tell the difference when somebody, like Nelson, loves to give me a hard time. There's a difference between giving somebody a hard time and truly being offended because somebody's wearing an App State hat. You know what? It's not like I'm wearing a Florida hat or even like a Nebraska hat or Oklahoma hat. It's App freaking State. Take a breath. Calm down. I promise you it is going to be okay. Wade Rouse for 2. Good evening, friends and family. Go Vols. What's up, Wade? Good to see you in the chat, my friend. All right. Oh, we got another one. Julian Belk. Julian Belk becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that, brother. Show Julian what he's won. Put those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis in the chat. All right, let's get these guys on here, see what they thought of a crazy. Who does not have headphones in? What was that? What was that echo? We're good. We're good. Echoed like crazy right out of the gate. Crazy weekend. Crazy weekend. Seth, what'd you think of the weekend of football?
All right, I'll be right back. I have no audio on y'all.
Leave and come back. Oh, well, I guess he can't hear me. What did you guys think? Let's start with this. Are we actually seeing more parity in college football? Are we seeing more equal teams because of the transfer portal and NIL? Seth, you think that's happening this fast?
100%, 100%, and it ain't slowing down. I mean, it's just going to keep getting more even keeled and more even keeled. I mean, I don't really think really anybody's going to have a foot forward here probably in the next 5 years.
So is that a good thing? Do you think that's a good thing for us as fans that it's more even versus watching Alabama dominate for year after year after year? Now Georgia?
I personally like it better that way. I mean, really, everybody's just legally able to pay these kids. Legally able to do it. Other schools have been able to get away with it. But it's, of course, can't talk about it.
Yeah, but and then definitely when the 12 team comes into play, the 12 team playoff comes in the next play. That's going to be really interesting to see. Very interesting.
In the transfer portal, I mean, heck, that kick-started Tennessee. I mean, that boosted us, 3 years probably, if you want to think about it, of our rebuild.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, I think it's I think it's going to end up being a great thing. I think you're getting a lot of parity. So you think when a season starts, how many teams you guys think at the beginning of the season this year honestly thought they could make the playoffs?
10 or less? 10 or less?
10 or less.
You're talking 4 teams make the playoffs, so 10 or less maybe?
But 12, you expanded to 12 teams. How many you think could make the playoffs then? 30, 40?
Yeah, probably.
Right? That's 30 more fan bases that are going to give a crap after week 7. So I think it's a good thing, personally.
What do you think, BBD?
I'm here for the parity. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The more the merrier, I say. I wish it was 12 teams this year. I think we'd have a lot better shot of making it. You guys, I'm sure you'll get to this at some point in the show, but did watching Georgia destroy and dismantle Kentucky make you feel even less comfortable about that game? I know it's a long ways away. I know we got Texas A&M to worry about, but all I've heard from the Georgia fan base since that game is, oh, now we're hitting on all cylinders. We're good to go. We're ready to three-peat now. And I'm like, no, man, that was Kentucky. I knew they were going to blow Kentucky out. I just didn't think it would be, so quick. I thought it would be more of a second half thing. But what do you guys think about that?
Well, it's just Kentucky shot themselves in the foot in the first half, like some of all those penalties. I mean, you can't just go in and just body slamming the defensive lineman on Georgia's side and expect to go in to win. You just can't do that.
Yeah, and Georgia's equipped.
Well, I think it's a combination of that.
Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I think it's a combination of that, X, is all right, you're good. I think it was a combination of factors with Georgia over Kentucky. Georgia, all this year, has proven they play down to who their opponent is. And then Kentucky keeps slipping up. So it made Kentucky look even worse than they are. But it didn't make it made Georgia look better than they are, I think, in my opinion. I don't think there's anybody on our schedule we are not capable of beating if we own our game. Our defense is held against strong offensive lines, and even in the secondary has been a step up from last year. So I don't see anybody that we can't beat. The probability may be a little low, but we have the talent and we have the skill and we have the heart to do it. It's just about putting all 3 of those together.
I think it goes back to parity in college football, honestly. Like Tennessee loses to Florida. Florida and Kentucky play each other. We saw how that game ends. And then Kentucky goes and gets embarrassed by Georgia. And it's like the only team that stands out to me in the SEC is Georgia. And they're the only team standing right now. Aren't they the last undefeated team in the SEC? I
think so.
Yeah.
And who are they going to lose to outside of Tennessee? Tennessee's what? I think they were talking about it on the SEC scoreboard show, and they were looking at the ESPN FPI, and Tennessee was like 33%. I mean, like very small odds, and they're like, well, that's way too high. That's way too high. Nobody else is even close.
Yeah, and I mean, after Tennessee beats A&M, and when Georgia comes to town, that's quite a few wins at home in a row for Heupel in Knoxville, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the exact number, but
Aren't they second right now, Coach? On
He
the
hasn't
list?
lost. He has not lost at home yet.
Wait, he lost at home in the first year.
in the
They
first
didn't
year,
lose
I
last
think.
season at home. They went undefeated at home last year.
I think it's
Yeah.
11 or 12
They lost-
right now, isn't it?
I'm
Yeah, I
looking it
believe
up right
so.
Yeah.
I think they lost to Georgia at home in his first year, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Nine games in a row. They are 5th in the country. Alabama has wait, is this accurate? This is from
That can't be accurate.
No, that's from August the 18th. I can't find anything from recent. So if you could do math, if you go back to August, Tennessee was 5th at 9 in a row. So how many have they won since then?
3.
Didn't help you at all, did I?
Right. It's either
Like
11 or 12, Boogie, I think, in a row.
Look, you're talking to a group of guys that don't even know how many games are in one season, let
This
alone.
is true. This
Yeah, I was
is
about to
accurate.
say, you guys already know. I don't know math, so
That's
There's
right. The people
in
over at
my book, there's
VolQuest don't know how
13.
many minutes. They don't know how many
Yeah.
minutes are in a game. So at least we know it's 60 minutes. We just don't know how many times they're going to play. Hey, let me hit this super chat from Ryan Miller real quick. Thank you for the $10, brother. That is very generous super chat. Says absolutely love this channel. Thank you guys for doing what you do. As always, GBO. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that super chat, brother. You're a member of the channel. Get on here and hang out with us. That's what it's all about. I love the community. I love these fan call-in shows, having you guys come on and voice your opinion. So jump in here with us. Also, do me a favor, man. You guys know the deal. Smash the thumbs up. It helps. It does help the channel. But hit share, because this is not our regular. We usually don't stream on Monday nights, but because I took the weekend off, I was like, I'm not taking away a fan call-in show. We'll do it on Monday night. So hit share. Let people know we're live. We would greatly appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit more about Texas A&M going into Saturday. DVD, what's your confidence level on this game? I thought it was very interesting. Friday morning, myself and Coach Jay were streaming, and I had not seen the line, and I saw it right before we went live, and I was completely blown away that Tennessee was favored by 7. If you go look now, it's down to 3.5. I think that's a little bit more accurate. Confident, BVD, going into Saturday?
I'm more confident. Well, I was more confident after the Alabama game until you brought up the 23 yards rushing stat. I didn't know that. I did not know that. And all we heard all off season from Alabama fans is we're going back to the run game. We're going back to smash mouth football. We're going to throw it 10 times a game and run it 50 times a game. Well, how'd that work out for you Saturday? And it makes me a little nervous. I know we're a run first team, and that's still hard, I think, for a lot of our fan base to swallow, but we just are. We're better when we run the ball, and we should have ran it more against Florida, but that's whatever. My confidence level is still good. I think because it's a home game, I wish it was a 7 or 7:30 game, but 3:30 is good. I think we'll be okay. I think their line's probably right. I think we'll win by maybe a touchdown, 7 to 10 points.
What's up, Cody? Been a minute. It's been a minute since you've jumped on here. I don't even know if you've jumped on after the season has started. So let's start there. How's your confidence on this football team through? I'm calling it the first half. Look, I know it's not exactly the first half, but through the first half of the season.
It's there. It's not really high. It's not low. It's kind of in the middle.
But what did we expect, though, right? What did we expect? Everybody said this team was going to take a step back in 2023. The second they struggle and lose to Florida, everybody panics, and now they're starting to build some momentum. You go beat Texas A&M, I think that's one step closer to everybody forgetting about that Florida game.
Oh, yeah.
The Bama game is going to be the barometer, I think, for the rest of our year. If we go down there and lay a big fat egg like we did against Florida, I think the fan base's confidence is going to fall below the ceiling. But if we go down there and win, no matter how we do it, even if it's a last-second duck field goal that barely crosses the crossbar, I'll take that. And somebody mentioned 60 minutes a few minutes ago. Did Miami not prove that that's why you play 60 minutes instead of 59 minutes and 30 seconds? What a bonehead that was. Bonehead.
Idiot.
Come on over, Francis.
Unbelievable.
I mean, look at the Arizona game. The Arizona USC game went into triple overtime. That was a hell of a game if you didn't watch it. To answer your question, to answer your question a while ago, I found that Vols carry an 11-game home win streak in the Saturday's contest, so now they're at 12. They're ranked fourth in the country behind Georgia at 22, Michigan at 19, and Utah at 17. That was prior to Saturday.
We'll
There
get
you
another
go.
super chat real quick
Baker's
here
dozen.
from Sling Blade. What's up, Sling Blade? $20. That ain't cheap. It's an Orange Boy. We'll play the freaking clip if I can find it.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Sling Blade for $20 says, been saving up my door fees so that I can drop an Orange Boy. GBO. I appreciate that, Sling Blade. I appreciate that you put a little in the savings account. You get to where you can drop an Orange Boy. We listen to Pat McAfee sing. Thank you for the $20 super chat. That is very generous. I'll put you on the leaderboard. Hopefully people make videos about me talking about how I put you guys on the leaderboard while they are streaming to absolutely nobody. Let's see. Let's see. Who else? Seth, what do you think? How you feeling about this Texas A&M game coming up?
I must just be on high hopes or something, but I feel stupid confidence. And I don't. I wasn't impressed with them or Bama in that game. I think Alabama couldn't really necessarily run like they wanted to, but we're going to be able to spread it out more. I think we can get their big defensive linemen spread apart, and they can't get a hold of us. I think Wright's going to have himself a game, and Sampson.
For comparison, Alabama, BBD mentioned they want to run the football. They going into the game, or maybe coming out of the game, I can't remember when I wrote this stat down, 10th in the SEC in rushing yards per game. You know where Tennessee's at. They're right up there at the top. And I'm sick and tired of hearing, well, they've not played anybody.
Hearing Bama that you know,
10th.
That's strange.
10th.
Yeah. No, I thought Bama would have improved their O-line from next year, but it doesn't seem like it's that much improved. And the Aggies O-line is okay, but I think we can get to this kid, guys. And quite frankly, when you're a defensive coordinator and you know it's their third string quarterback, now I'm not saying you ever want to aim to injure a kid, but you definitely want to put him on the parliamentary side of his butt several times and make sure he's hurting and limping around.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
I want him to know what that turf tastes like. You know?
Yeah, exactly. You want him to know the exact shade of green the grass is.
Yeah. But also going back, like saying, to that A&M Bama game though, you gotta remember too, Milroe was kind of escaping the pocket and making plays with his feet. I think Joe's got to get involved with the run game this coming to Aggies. I mean, we get it. We know he likes to stay in the pocket, make plays, but like I said, with that front seven coming after him, he's got to roll and make plays with his feet.
I know he's playing, but is there any update on Joe's knee? Have you heard anything about it?
I would imagine he's good to go. For him to play,
I fear that's going to give him an excuse.
I'm sure
to
Josh
not run
Heupel
it.
will tell us exactly what's going on, Seth. I'm sure Josh will let us know.
Yeah, just like
We'll
Dante
know
Thornton.
more by Friday.
Dante Thornton's out there on the grass running around. I anticipate he'll play. That's what he said about Dante Thornton today. So I'm sure you can imagine. Look, Joe played the last game against South Carolina, and he's had 2 weeks to recover. But how healthy is it? I don't know. I'm with you, Seth. You got to get. I think.
I mean,
this
he
offense
barely
clicks.
got his foot touched, and he slid.
That was the most embarrassing play I've ever seen.
I'm gonna throw this in here on both the A&M game and then the Alabama game following it. We're going to have to bring back our tempo. I know I keep harping every time we talk, but we are best in tempo. Alabama was able to adjust and get their defense right because they had all the time in the world against A&M, because A&M takes so much time with their offense that they're huddling up and all this, and that's just not going to work against us. Our defense is going to be all over them.
But let me play devil's advocate. Are we best running with tempo when Hendon Hooker's the quarterback or when Joe Milton's the quarterback? Does Joe need more time to process things? Because everybody was criticizing the lack of tempo against South Carolina. Tennessee went out and took care of business against South Carolina. It's a different identity. It's a different identity this year.
I would say
they had spurts of tempo.
Yeah, and I was getting ready to say with
Spurts.
Cooper, with Mays in there, like I said, look, the tempo is there. So that's what we were talking about this whole season. Like I said, yeah, if Mays was in that Florida game, I think it would be a different outcome. But yeah, with Mays being back, it's just the tempo is just like how we kind of seen it from last season. Yeah, this team is a little bit different, but I mean, I think the tempo's there.
But the time of possession against Florida, Tennessee had the ball for 22 and a half minutes, Florida for 37 and a half minutes. That's without Cooper Mays. Cooper Mays comes back. and it was dead even. Dead even.
It was dead even.
So everybody's
With what,
talking about
last year or
no
or,
last
sorry,
week.
I
No,
missed-
Last week.
Oh, okay.
Last week it was like within 45 seconds was the time
Of the
difference. So it's like
of the previous year. Okay.
No,
it's this year.
Tennessee
This year.
had the ball like 15, 30 seconds less than South Carolina did. So
Gotcha.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The tempo argument to me is that's Cooper didn't run faster last week because the tempo wasn't there. And it's not because it couldn't be. At times it was, like Bob said, it was spurts of tempo.
It was first attempt. Here's the way I see it: is Cooper being back was an impact for that offensive line and helped build that offensive line, kept it strong. Now, the week before at UTSA, we didn't have Cooper Mays, but we had tempo. And we were able to run it. Now, you add those two together once Cooper is able to, because he was not in game form last week. We know this. But after an additional 2 weeks, and he's been in the weight room, he's been in the training room, he's been building up that stamina, I think we're going to have a much higher tempo this coming up week and maybe even to Alabama. And I think with Cooper Mays and the additional tempo, I think we're going to see a huge improvement on the old line.
Yeah, the speed that Cooper gets him lined up with and identifying the defensive sets is just light years above what Ollie Lane does, and that's good for the offense, no matter what's going on. And I understand that it's still hard when Joe Milton snapping the ball. Sorry, same speed of thought, but.
Hey, I've worked so hard to build this channel. Let's get it canceled. Let's get it canceled in 30 seconds.
I'm sorry. No, but Joe's just gotta be quicker. No, he's slow. But listen, is to the question of Hooker and Milton. I think tempo can still be important, and that doesn't mean that it's the same speed that Hendon ran it with. It's got to be within Joe Milton's quickness and his tempo with Mays together. They have to work in good synergy and good speed together. Does that mean it's as fast as Hendon Hooker? Probably not, but it can still be quick for what their speed of life is on the snap.
Yeah, I don't think
and faster than the defenses. I'm the boss.
We got to stop talking over each other. I put it in the private chat. You got to stop talking over each other. I know it's a fan calling show. I love it. We have a good time, but when somebody talks, we got to let them talk. Redwin becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that, brother. Show him what he's won. Put those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis in the chat. Also, this is a good question from Negaval. Does D get a pass this week? I don't think he's going to catch a pass, but if D Williams moves over, starts playing some wide receiver, are they going to put some type of package in for him? Coach, let me call names so we can stop railroading each other. Coach is laughing at Boogie had to be the principal for a second and tell everybody to shut up. When my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut.
Sorry, Coach is a little salty this week after a rough Friday, so my apologies, everybody.
Oh no, you did. Oh no, I didn't even ask you. I was too selfish on my vacation, and you're sending me text messages trying to humble brag, and then you got embarrassed.
Yeah, someone's quarterback got hurt pretty good, and we got beat 10-7. So proud of my defense. They spent almost every minute of every quarter on that dang field and left nothing to be ashamed of out there. So if any of y'all catch this, I'm proud of heck as you guys after that week. But with that said, they got to get D Williams involved in this offense, man. That kid is lightning. I don't know if Thornton's going to play or not, but imagine D Williams, Thornton, and Squirrel White on the field at the same time. Talk about the kind of speed that can change a game from multiple points of attack. Man, I would love to see that, and I hope they do figure it out with D because the kid is a problem with the ball in his hand.
Do you think he's having trouble learning the routes, or what do you think the issue is with D?
Yeah, that's what I said, BBD. I said, I don't know if he's having like trouble reading routes or what, because I mean, the kid's got speed, man. He's got the talent.
There's got to be a reason they're not putting him in with his speed and elusiveness.
Well, he was a defender first, so how long have they been trying to switch him over would be the question that I would have, because I'm not sure.
South Carolina was the... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, understanding coverage can be really complex, especially at the Southeastern Conference level. So I just don't know how long he's been working on offense.
Have you guys heard of him being on the scout team running wide receiver prior to South Carolina? That was the first time I'd ever even heard that.
That's our first I'd heard of it. There's a difference between reaching and catching a ball that's been punted to you or kicked off to you and running it than it is to run a route and trying to catch a ball that's coming at you at a different angle. So they may have to take some time to get him used to doing exactly that.
And at Joe Milton speed too.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm gonna put up a Joe Milton dartboard back here, and every time one of y'all takes a shot, I'm just gonna turn around and throw a dart at it and see where it hits Joe. Let's talk about Dante Thornton. I think we were talking about Dante Thornton and D. Williams at the same time over the last 5 minutes. Let's talk about Dante Thornton if he is healthy, right? Because he's a guy that we've had high expectations from, and he's not delivered yet. And I'm not comparing him to Jermaine Burton in any way, shape, or form, not at all. But we saw what Jermaine Burton did this past week, right? He went out, balled out. He had more catches in that one game or matched the number of catches he had in the entire season. Can Dante Thornton, can he put it together this year, Seth, or do you think we're waiting till 2024 to see what Dante Thornton's going to be in this offense?
I think he can put it together this year. I mean, he's, sadly, you're with Brew's injury, that messes up a little thing. There goes our dog. There goes our security blanket on offense. Now, who's it going to be from here? That's more my question than anything. But I think Thornton's going to be fine. I mean, I think he's going to get his hands on the ball more. The more touches he gets, the better off he's going to be.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, like I said, because I know Boogie said that you're hoping for him to be a one and done and to eventually go off to the draft. But honestly, if he's not performing the way he's performing right now, it's definitely going to hurt his draft stock a little bit. So he needs to have a breakout game pretty soon.
I don't think he has a draft stock right now anyway. Right now he don't.
Zero. His draft stock is being an accountant somewhere. Like he ain't drafted.
What's he got, 5 catches this year?
7, I think.
7.
Something like that.
Yeah. My thing is, and I may be wrong, but in my rewatches, it seems to me like Dante is more basket catching instead of catching with his hands. If he can get where he's catching with his hands like he should be, I think he'll be a lot more of a threat.
Maybe he's afraid Joe's going to break his fingers.
Trying to catch missiles.
Well, if you're scared of that, then listen, you got quarterbacks in the big leagues that's going to throw it even faster and stronger than Joe.
Let's not only Thornton. Obviously, he's not I shouldn't say obviously. Based on the body of work through 5 games, he ain't going to the NFL. Brew McCoy, that's an interesting one. And these people in the media are terrified to have conversations like this. It's always got to be, he's got to get healthy. He's got to. No, I don't freaking care. What do you guys think? Is Brew McCoy coming back? We can speculate, anticipate.
Not this year.
No. Yeah. I'm saying instead of going to the draft, he's got a COVID year. I think Brew McCoy's back at Tennessee in 2020.
I think he'll use.
I think he is too. I think he'll come back for a tape.
I just think he likes the campus and the college life. Peyton made a big deal about the college life for being the reason why he came back when he did. He didn't have to come back. I mean, his draft stock was already through the roof, And
now that Peyton is staffed, he's got his ear. I guarantee you, he's in that young man's ear every day, telling him, "Hey, get your last year, get that tape on file, so you can get in the draft better."
Yeah. I hope he comes back. My only concern is if it's a career-ending injury. That was not a good one, guys. I think we all kind of let that go quickly than the other solutions. But he's a senior that's been around a long time, and even if you do come back for a year after an injury like that, sometimes it takes you a full year to get back into the swing thing after an injury like that. So praying for Brew. Y'all go buy his T-shirt and all the Brew things if you haven't already, because it's a kid who gave his all for Tennessee, and I think we're all rooting for him 1,000,000%.
And I
think, can I bring up one thing for
hold on, go X.
Oh, and I was just gonna say, what if we're looking at another Cedric Tillman, incident? You know what I'm saying? Cedric Tillman had that tightrope surgery, and I mean, we thought he was gonna come back, and make a difference. And he kind of struggled a little bit. And then for the rest of the season, he just didn't even play. So I'm just hoping and praying that doesn't go for Brew as well. So, but yeah, my thoughts and prayers are with him. So
you got to think, Brew, if he was going to go to the NFL, he needs to rely on that combine, right? And is he going to be healthy enough to do that? And if not, does that lead to coming back in 2024? Bob, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to add to it. I mean, I'm praying for Brew every day. He's in my morning and in my evening prayers. But say, like Coach said, if this is a career-ending injury, he can't come back because the ankle's just too badly damaged, because we don't know how much damage there was. There's one thing I can tell you about our university over all other universities I've ever heard of is Tennessee will find a spot in their program for him to succeed, whether it be a player coach of some kind or an assistant, something. They will find a spot for him. He's not going to be out in the cold.
Let me hit a couple of super chats real quick. Big Orange Mountain for $5. Appreciate that, brother. The D offensive talk makes me nervous. It'd be such an obvious play call, maybe as a decoy, yards on teams, much different than yards on offense. Oh, man, who was it? Was it Scott that every time he came in, you knew it was a jet sweep? I can't, dude, I'm pretty sure it was Scott. But I kind of see that too. And something that I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about D. Williams, and you put a package in for him, right, where you got this play dialed up. If you're going tempo, you can't sub him out. So D. Williams is going to have to be able to stay in there and play wide receiver. If you're going to run the football, he's going to have to be able to run block. If you're going to throw the football, he's got to be able to do what a wide receiver does in this offense. That's something worth taking note of as well. Ryan for a 50 spot. That ain't cheap. That's a pink boy. We'll play the clip.
Money isn't everything. It's the only thing. And everyone has a price for the $1 Million Man.
Ryan for a 50 spot says, entry fee, my guy. Let's go, Boogie by God. Bentley still waiting for the T-shirt. Gosh, I've sent out so many free T-shirts. Did I send you a free shirt, Ryan, or do you just want a free shirt? Because there is only one shirt that I have left to send out. Everything else should be in the process of going out, being shipped out, being delivered soon. So, God, I hope I don't owe Ryan a shirt and somehow missed it. JP gives away so many shirts, and he's been on the channel so many times the last couple of weeks. I've sent out about 75 free shirts. So, I think Ryan just wants a free shirt. I think that's what he wants. But guess what? JP's not here, so we're not giving any away tonight. We're not giving any free shirts away until JP shows up on Wednesday probably. Thank you, Ryan, for the very generous super chat, my man. I appreciate that. Very generous donation. Oh, okay. He says he wants the Boogie by God Bentley T-shirt. I would sell one of those. It would go to you, Ryan. Nobody else wants a shirt that has my name on it. Nobody wants that shirt, but maybe Ryan wants to rep that shirt. Anyway, Seth, were you going to say something?
Oh, I got one of the premium hoodies coming. The lots, the Vols.
Sweet. When I first got the premium hoodie, because I didn't know the difference, and I added them just to see what it would look like, what the difference was. They're almost like more lightweight. They're thinner, but mine's a little bit bigger. Like normally they fit true to size. The premium is a little baggier. So
that'll be good. I'm fat, so that works.
So am I. But I'm like, this is still a little big. Like I feel like I could fit two of me in this thing. But anyways, I digress. Speaking of merchandise, you guys can check out the merchandise. You can go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. This is the design right here that Seth is talking about, the Talkin VAWLS letter shirts. There's the premium pullover. I do like that it has the white strings. I don't know why, that I think that makes it look kind of clean. I like that look. But if not, you can get the regular pullover hoodie. Go check it out, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Bob's Talkin VAWLS. Bob's got one of these on. Bob, are you a cult member?
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
He's a member of the cult. Shout out, Bob, for picking up that shirt. I like those. I dig those. But again, you can go check it out. We got all kinds of different designs. Gator Hater got a clean tri-star shirt. You can pick the design. There's different color schemes, all kinds of stuff. You can play with it. Buck Fama, Boogie Dauber 2024. We got a scoreboard shirt from the Alabama game last year. Vols by Fitty, State Pride, all kinds of fun merchandise. Links are in the description below if you want to go check it out. I would greatly appreciate it. All right. Somebody go. What do y'all want to talk about?
Let's go back to A&M.
Yeah, let's go back to A&M.
All right. What about A&M?
What do y'all
trash.
think?
They're going to lose.
Yeah.
What do you think about A&M coming off of a game against Auburn, and then Arkansas, and then Alabama, and then you got to come play Tennessee?
They've
Meanwhile, Tennessee coming off of a bye week. Josh Heupel's pretty dang good coming off a bye week.
They've
should
got
be
to
able
beat
to
the hell.
They should be.
Mhm.
Yeah, if I
Could
say,
be.
and didn't their center get hurt? Because didn't their center go out
Did
the
he?
game? I think so. I think it was a series where their center was hurt. I can't remember, but yeah, I think the announcer was saying that their center was hurt. Now I don't know if he came back or anything, but I've said if their center's out, that's going to be a big major question.
Yeah, it's tough to run without your center, as we all know. But yeah, I think they're gonna have plenty of nicks, bruises, monkey bumps, all that good stuff. You just gotta keep the pressure on them, as we talked about earlier. I'm excited to see what Caleb Webb might be able to do in this offense too, guys. I think he could be a good one. I was right in front of him a lot of that game in South Carolina, and the guy's kind of a dude. Like he's a big kid. You can tell he's fast. He's pretty physical on his blocks too. So I'm excited to see what Mr. Webb can do.
One thing that's got me somewhat confident, just to jump over A&M for a second for the Alabama game afterwards. A&M got beat up by Alabama, and it was a fairly physical game. So, and we've had a week to prepare and had some time to relax. So I think we're going to take A&M easily. When we get to Alabama, Alabama's faced A&M again, physical game, but then they're going to have to face Arkansas. Arkansas is not a great team, but they are very physical. So Alabama's going to be kind of banged up by the time we get there.
See, and I can jump on with this, Bob, and we can go through the entire month of October, because the game that scared me was Kentucky, on the road against Kentucky. And I know people get mad. Oh, look what Georgia did to them. We're Kentucky's daddy. I understand all that. That's why I have a T-shirt that we sell that says that on it, because we are Kentucky's daddy. But we got to play Texas A&M. Then we got to go on the road and play Alabama, and then we got to go on the road and play Kentucky. And that Kentucky game is probably going to be a night game, and they're probably going to be pretty fired up and hostile and ready to go for that football game. Because, I know Spencer Rattler doesn't understand what the phrase their Super Bowl. We are their Super Bowl. We are.
Literally.
So they're going to be ready to go. They're going to be ready to go. How do you think we do in October, BBD? I said preseason, Tennessee, September was so important. Tennessee, because October, November is pretty dang tough. I said Tennessee needs to come out of September undefeated. You dropped the one to Florida. Now we look at October. You got the 3 games, Texas A&M, Alabama on the road, Kentucky on the road. What do you think? I mean, I could see going 1-2 through this stretch.
Well, without stating the obvious, which I'm about to do, of course, it's going to depend on how banged up we get with these next couple of very physical games. I think the month of October could be I think we could swing literally from winning all of these games to losing all these games, and I don't think that's a stretch. I think you could make an argument for either side. Obviously, as a diehard fanatic, I want us to win all of them, but right now I don't think Tennessee has shown any of us an obvious capability of going in and beating all of these teams. I don't think we talked about it earlier. I don't think our tempo is anywhere near what it was with Hooker, and I know he's gone. I get it, but it's just not, and we're going to have to get used to that. But I'm fine with where our tempo is. I think it's right for Joe Milton, and I think he's capable of beating all these teams. His numbers show it. The only thing I'm worried about is that knee. We don't know how bad it is, and somebody brought up the slide. They need to come up with a new name for that, because that wasn't a slide. That was a bailout. But we'll see. If he can't run like we know he was capable of, it's going to make it a lot harder for us to win.
Piggyback on this super chat right here. Red Win for 5 says, last year we overlooked the South Carolina game. This year we lost early. I think a team that takes every late season game more seriously than they did last year. I think the team takes every late season game more seriously than they did last year. Interesting point. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said, kid, I'm right there with you, Boogie. Kentucky is the sleeper game. We cannot sleep on that game. But also, too, Leia, coming off to play the Aggies and Bama, then you got to go to Kentucky. That's tough. But yeah,
Coach is a coach. He can answer this. How do you sleep on anybody? Save for UConn and maybe Vandy. How can you sleep on any of these teams?
How do I read a $5 super chat and the next two people that talk completely ignore the question asked in the super chat?
I think we addressed it, didn't we, X Factor? Yeah. Sorta, kinda.
We're talking about the difference in losing early. How do you respond to losing early versus losing late in the season? Did they address that?
You got humbled early and hard.
Well, okay, here's the best hint. You got to play like you have nothing to lose. How's that answer?
Coach, speak them up.
Hey,
yeah.
X,
Thank you,
just
Butch.
tell them. Tell them to take it 1 week at a time. Just go 1-0
there you
every
go.
week.
Yeah.
Look,
That's what Coach Heupel. That's what Coach Heupel would tell them. Just go 1-0 every week.
Yeah, you 1-0 every week. All right, now, Coach, listen, you can hype them up. Go ahead.
I mean, I think obviously you got to be gelling at the right time at the end of the year, right? That's important, and sometimes an early loss can help facilitate that. Sure. But it is to BVD's question. I'm not sure that coaches. I'm sure every now and then a coach does, but I'm not sure coaches ever go in looking like that. I think it's the kids that go into games like that. I mean, these are 18 to 22-year-old kids, unless you're Peely, who's 37 with 5 kids or something like that. But otherwise, you're going to walk into a game. We beat Alabama. We smoke cigars with Peyton Manning in the locker room. What do we got to worry about this team? We're favored by 38 points, and my only real concern is how come I'm not getting that bag also, because I'm on this team that's smoking cigars with Peyton Manning. I think that's how you run into those kind of problems. I don't think it's never Heupel going, hey, it's South Carolina, guys. Who gives a crap? It's just South Carolina this week. We're going to run them over. Let's focus on what we're going to do against Georgia when we get them again in the playoff. I don't think that you're necessarily seeing anything like that from this coaching staff, or certainly we'd have a lot bigger problems coming out of our locker rooms than we've seen, which have been limited to none.
But you can tell normally as a coach on Mondays and Tuesdays if they're wired in or not, if they're tuned in to what's the game coming up or not. You can tell if you have a good practice or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a different energy, right? Like you can feel it. Kids aren't dumb, right? You know when it's a big game, like it's A&M week. There's a little bit of a buzz, right? There's a energy in the air that's palpable during games like this. So
I mean, even
those
the past week.
Those kids can feel that. That's a live, real energy, and you can't fake it, right? You can't just manufacture that energy for Austin P or whoever it may be. You ain't gonna happen. So now the great teams can bring energy and focus to those games that they manufacture, but it's not just this electricity that it's in the air and they just need to grab it and focus that lightning bolt and shoot someone in the head with it.
But usually you kind of know, even as a fan, right? We don't know what they look like at practice. We don't get that but we know what they look like against Austin P, right? When they come out and they limp their way to a 30-13 win. But you can pick and choose. That's what makes this season, dude, we're 5 games into this thing, and I'm still not sure how good this football team is. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they go out and they beat the piss out of Texas A&M on Saturday. Wouldn't surprise me at all. It also wouldn't surprise me if they go out there and they struggle and they get beat. Like, I just don't know. You look week to week with this football team, and it's like, what are you going to get? Are you going to get the team that took care of business against Virginia? Are you going to get the team that didn't I'm assume, take Austin Peay serious? They didn't prep for that well. They get the win. Are you going to take the one that concerns me more than anything, like App State? Y'all got me talking about App State. Go Mountaineers. The Austin Peay game doesn't really concern me because it's a glorified scrimmage, and you still got the win. How do you not get up for the Florida game? How do you not get up for that game? And they played flat in that game, and that bothers me. That's concerning to me.
How much do you think the Swamp had to do with that? Because we've not been known in the last couple of years to be a good away team. So, I mean, that makes me worried going into Alabama and
not Georgia, Alabama, yeah.
Yeah, Alabama, and also going into Kentucky, which Kentucky's nowhere near the atmosphere. I've been to their field, and it's nowhere close. Where Tuscaloosa is 110,000. Just a completely different atmosphere, different ball game.
I think in Florida you had two different things working against you. You had, the terrible offensive line play between Ollie Lane and Chaney at the tackle position, with Mincy out and Mays out. You had all those false starts in the second quarter, so the offense was just completely inept in that second quarter. And then you tie that together with the game plan that Banks put together in the second quarter, sitting back, playing catch, letting them come beat you up, and then you throw in a bad play or two, like the Haddon tackle and another bad play here and there. It's real easy to get snake bit in football and get behind the sticks in football. It can happen really, really fast. A lot of people talk about momentum and it getting away from you, but a lot of people don't talk. Momentum can move really, really fast, and you look up and it's gone. That game is gone in 6 minutes, 7 minutes sometimes. We all saw it with Heupel and how quickly he could pull away from teams at times with Hendon behind the center. So momentum can be tough to get, and when you lose it, it can go quickly and hurt you quickly, and it can be over before it begins. You got to not lose the game before you
can win the game. That's my coach talk right there.
And you have to not lose the game before you can ever win the game.
Oh my God, we should leave it at that.
Okay.
We should close with that. That is the mind blower of mind blowers.
Good. We're not really ending the stream there. That would have been an epic ending, right? Just end it.
It really would have been.
It on that.
It really would have been epic.
Just call it or not. Let me hit a couple of super chats real quick. Bobby Pilgrim for 5. Appreciate that, brother. As a wide receiver, does D. Williams jumping in front of you on the depth chart make you try harder or transfer? I can't imagine he's jumping anybody on the depth chart. He's got to be third string, right? If not fourth string, like
practice squad, man.
Yeah. Like D. Williams, no. Like no. I don't think he's jumping. We're going to see what Dante Thornton does. I think that's the question that, Seth, you touched on it earlier. Dante Thornton, if he's healthy, we talked about he can play inside or outside. I think, is Dante Thornton going to replace Brew McCoy, or is it going to be Caleb Webb, or is it going to be Chaz Nimrod? That's the question at wide receiver for me going into this week. Zach Ledford for 5. Alabama had 5 sacks, and they don't exactly have a dominant D-line. Also, Texas A&M had 67 yards rushing. I like those matchups. Let the D win this game. I agree with that, and the difference is Tennessee leading the SEC in rushing yards per game. Number 1 in rushing yards per game. They're better at running the football than Alabama is. Cody Branch for another 5 says, sorry, boys, a semi was running from the cops, only in small-town America. I thought Bob was trying to break out, and that's what those sirens were, but apparently it was Cody. Cody's in the big rig going to get Bob out of the big house, and it's happening all live right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. Cody, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Always good to have you on the show, come in and hang out, talk a little Tennessee football. The porn bots are back. It's now officially a Talkin VAWLS stream. We're back to business. The porn bots are here.
There you go.
All right.
You love the fact that we still got 3 running backs in the top 10 in the SEC.
That's great.
Rankings. That's awesome.
And we argue with each other about who's better. That's the beautiful thing, because they're all 3 really good. That's the beautiful
in their own way.
Yeah, I would much rather be arguing about which one's better than arguing about how bad somebody sucks, right? It's not a matter of the number one guy. Like, I don't know, for example, let's say you were talking about the quarterback position, and you were saying how bad that person was and you needed somebody that was better. We're arguing about who's better because they're all 3 freaking good.
Yeah.
But you're talking about Harrison Bailey.
Right. I was going back. Yeah. I wasn't.
The rightful starter of this team, Seth. The rightful starter.
The rightful.
Yeah. So, what's y'all's opinion? Who do you think of the running backs stays? I mean, obviously Samson, we get another year, but you think the other 2 both gone? Small's gone for sure, right?
Does Small have a COVID year? Does he have?
I think he's got a COVID year.
I think he Small does. Might stay, or he'll transfer out. I have this weird feeling.
I don't see him transferring.
Yeah, I'd say
Wow.
Wright. I think Wright's definitely going to stay for sure.
I don't know, man. If Wright keeps the pace, I see him going.
He could go
Take
to
it,
the
take,
NFL.
take it and leave.
Yeah, he could.
I mean, he could be like Hyatt last year when the
Yeah,
when the getting's good. Go.
And it's not
Yeah.
like running backs are like coming off the board first or anything in the NFL draft. So you might as well strike when the iron's hot right there if you're right. Yeah.
So,
Fair
and
enough.
if Wright goes to the NFL, then you would think that Jabari Small is going to say, okay, this is an opportunity. And maybe Jabari Small comes back, and then Dylan Sampson's coming back. So next year you're set up perfectly, right?
Cam Seldon.
No matter what
Cam
happens,
Seldon.
you got
But I
say
see
Jabari
Cam
Small,
Seldon
Dylan
coming in.
Sampson, and Cam Seldon.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just real high on Seldon. I see him. If it comes
He's
down
a
to
baller.
Sampson, Seldon, or Small's going to bump down to 3. If he stays, I feel like that's the way it would go.
Yeah.
Seldon
I'll tell you-
can just do so much more.
I'll tell you what, Cam Seldon learned to keep his eyes open on kickoff return the other day.
Yeah.
He learned that lesson.
He probably had a real fun
he paid
Monday.
he paid the iron prize for that. Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Somebody
I
said
mean,
Jalen
even
Jalen
Keith
Wright's a
is even
senior.
getting
He's
some-
a junior.
He's a
Jalen Wright's
junior, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a junior.
But even still, he could technically come back for 2 years because doesn't he have a COVID year too?
I think so.
He
I'm
ain't
not
coming
sure.
back for
think
2 years.
so.
I think
No,
he's gone.
he-
I think
Yeah. No.
He's doing too good to do it. I mean, his stock's high right now, and if he keeps the pace, his is going to be about as high as it can be.
Is he a true junior or a redshirt junior?
I've got 84 tabs up on my screen, and the one that I don't have up is that one, but I can click on his name and open in a new window. It says he's a junior, so a true junior. So
Then
heck,
he
technically
probably-
have 3 years left. if he
Well,
wanted.
would he have that COVID year though? If he's a junior, this is just year 3.
21,
21, 22, 23.
Yep. So he wouldn't have COVID. Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so glad when this is over and done with. I
Yeah.
never know
Yeah, it's
who has
confusing.
eligibility. The offensive line, it's encouraging, though, right? We had that conversation the last week or two about how many guys on the offensive line, if they wanted to come back, could technically come back because of COVID. I mean,
Let's
that'd
see,
be huge.
realistically,
interesting.
of the ones able to come back, maybe half of them would, though. I don't
Right,
see
if
all of
probably
them.
less than that. Probably
Yeah.
less than that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is our last year COVID's going to have anything to do with it. Because 2024 will be 21, 22, 23, 24. That's your 4 years. Unless you
Unless you're a
redshirt.
Yeah.
Unless
yeah.
you're a red shirt.
Yeah, I'm happy about that though. It's a nightmare to keep
I'm
track
sick,
of.
dude. I
certainly.
never know.
Yeah.
Never know. Timothy McGee for 5. Appreciate that, brother. Our team in Jekyll and Hyde is Jekyll and Hyde, I bet he means. We don't have a quarterback that knows about touch on the football or leading a receiver without playing beanball. Shots fired. Shots fired. But to go with what Timothy's saying, I don't know that we really know what this football team is capable of yet, right? And that's why Coach Speak, Texas A&M, biggest game of the year. Will we know more after Saturday? Will we? Or are we going to come out with question marks? Because every week I think we're going to learn something. We come out with more question marks.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel this year's going.
I got to thinking, is our bouncing back and forth, is that confusing for the teams we get to see? Or the teams that are coming to play us or we go to play? They don't know what team's showing up either.
Yeah,
And if they get a preconceived idea that we're not doing so well, they come in unprepared and then we hammer them.
Beyond knowing that you better make a plan for Pierce and Barron, I wouldn't know what the heck to do. I mean, they are all over the place. It is a good point, but rest assured they'll be trying to figure out a way to block those two guys because those guys have been a nightmare. That's for sure. Is Lott healthy? Is he fine? Anyone know? I haven't seen an update on him.
I haven't seen anything either.
I would
I haven't
imagine
seen
he
anything.
is. It didn't look like a concussion, right? I would think with a full bye week, I think he'll be back.
Yeah,
We're not going to know. Are you kidding
You don't
me?
need your brain.
You kidding me? You sound like Kaner. Boogie, what do you think
Yeah.
about the injuries? I don't know. You guys know the joke. Brew McCoy, he may show up Saturday and play. We don't know yet. We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see how his body responds. He may be
Yeah.
out there on Saturday.
Where's the
against
guy
Texas
that
A&M.
used to be on here that knew everything before we did, Boogie? What was his name? Was it John? There was some guy on here that kept every time somebody would get ready to say something, this guy would say it, and you kind of made
And
the
it would
running
come
joke.
true.
Yeah.
I totally thought you were I thought this was gonna be a sports talk Jay joke at first.
No, not at all. No.
I didn't know where you were going with that. Bruno Foyer's a game time decision.
May not have been his name.
Red Win for 2. Thank you for the super chat. I'm worried about No Brew. He was wide receiver and tight end in one. He's great in the run blocking game, man. You're gonna miss him.
And speaking of tight ends, man, I just need McCastles just to get it together, man. Like I said, he's so talented, man. Just gotta learn to hold on to that ball, man.
Somebody made a comment earlier saying that all the new guys, the guys that haven't played with Joe before, are like McAllen Castles, like Dante Thornton. The guys that play with him, like Squirrel, they're catching the football. That's an interesting point.
It is true.
Well, Keaton to start with is even missing some, but he seems to have gotten a little bit back on track now.
But Ramel ran with Hooker though.
Sure.
What about Nimrod? Didn't he miss one last week after Brew got hurt? Thought Nimrod came in and bricked one.
Yeah, they did. I don't care though. Catch the dang football.
Yeah.
You're right.
If your hands touch it, it should be caught.
Yep.
I agree with that too.
Yep. Dang.
I've always hated that saying. I get it and I understand it, but God, I hate it.
What if it hits you in the hands? Catch it.
Yes. I had little hands, man. It was hard.
Coach Rice didn't get the memo
Not
that the
if you're-
blackout's over. The blackout's over, Coach.
It doesn't apply to defensive players and offensive linemen, Seth. So.
Oh, did I say
think
something to
I think we're in the clear. The heck, Boogie.
Coach Rice.
Why don't you like it, Seth?
Because I had little hands. I couldn't catch a freaking ball, man.
You weren't playing wide receiver. What are you
Seth,
talking
listen,
about?
I was a
bro,
running
listen.
back, too.
Listen, like my father told me, bro. Listen, look, if it hits you in your chest with your hands, you need to catch it. If not, drop and give me 50.
There you go.
I had a coach, no crap, the way he got me to get over that, to help me with catching, he started throwing bricks at my hands. We spent a whole summer. We spent a whole summer. Hey, it worked.
Stuff like that works, man. My brother tied me to a lemon tree and hit baseballs at me so I wouldn't be afraid of the ball when I played catcher. And it worked.
We grew up in a different time, Coach. In a different time.
I played tight end, and they just loved running me across the middle, but they made sure I got hit every game.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
We
Coach.
can
Dark
see
out.
you.
You're in black dark mode.
Evidently, I wasn't over the South Carolina game because my screen is not working at all. I don't know what the deal is, but
Well, let me tell you this, Coach Ross. You look the best you've ever looked on camera.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
Hey, you're popping in here late. We've talked about a lot of different things. Let's talk about. I'm assuming you watched a lot of college football this weekend too. How do you feel after watching Alabama, A&M, Georgia, Kentucky? How do you feel about this Tennessee football team going into the back half?
So Texas, not Texas, Alabama and A&M. I think we got our hands full as far as their defensive front goes and their linebacker crew. I think that's going to be the key to the game. Both front sevens, our front seven and their front seven. Whoever I think plays the best there is going to be the story of the game. I think for our game at least. Alabama, I'm telling you, they just don't impress me. It's just I know they got athletes and their defense makes plays, but I just think Coach Heupel has Nick Saban's number, and I just think.
Man.
Yeah, I just think there's going to be something in that game that, yes, we may end up losing, but I think it's going to be a heck of a game. And even being down in Alabama, I think we're going to give ourselves a fighting chance. And then Kentucky and Georgia, man, I've been saying all year, Kentucky, they've played is cupcake games. The Florida game was a little bit of a fluke, and it just shows Tennessee should have went out and, rampaged Florida, but we didn't show up. We were flat. Offensive line, we were missing 3/5 of our offensive line. And just the criteria to winning a football game was not there for us in that Tennessee-Florida game. So I'm not afraid of Kentucky. Georgia looks better. I wish we'd have had them early in the season, even though we weren't playing very good early in the season. Carson Beck is starting to become, someone you don't want to face against. And then I think Mike Bobo's starting to figure out what he has in his weapons and how to use them. I think that's going to be major for Tennessee when it comes to the Tennessee-Georgia game, is trying to shut down how they use their weapons in multiple ways. And, of course, the main weapon we all know is Brock Bowers. But it's just 2-1. If we can go 2-1 down this stretch, I'm be thrilled. I wish we'd go 3-0. Can we go 3-0? Yes. But we can also go 0-3. I think I heard someone say that earlier. I was late getting home. We took my son to the park to play after supper. So, but I still was listening to it with my headphones in. So,
like a good father would.
Oh yeah, like a good father would. So, but yeah, I 2-1, and then we'll get to Kentucky. Get to Georgia when we get to Georgia. These two teams could be totally different by that time. We've seen how teams grow and how teams change throughout the season. So we'll see when we get there. But these 3 games, it's going to be the telltale story of the season for Tennessee Vols.
Coach Rice was the guy that we needed here when I was talking about the Florida game because he brought up a good point, the offensive line. I think, Coach, you mentioned Cooper being out. I completely forgot that Mincy was out. That makes a huge – that was the one game where Tennessee could not run the football. And they lost, right? Mm-hmm. And now you've got Cooper back. Some people like to call him Cade, but his name's Cooper. But you've also got Gerald Mincy back, right? That is huge for this offensive line. But I'm telling you guys right now, Coach is getting me fired up down there. Coach and Coach, it's the Coach and Coach show. You go beat Texas A&M on Saturday. And then if Coach Rice is right and we've got Nick Saban's number, Josh Heupel has Nick Saban's number, and you go beat Alabama, Tennessee's not losing another game this year. If they win the next 2 weeks, they will not lose another game. Because, and the reason I'm saying this, because you go beat Texas A&M, you go beat Alabama on the road, there's no way. Josh Heupel all week long going into that Kentucky game is going to be talking about South Carolina a year ago. You've got everything to play for. Now, are you going to get up? For our little stepson up north, are you going to get up for that game? You better be ready to go. There's no way they lose to Kentucky. And then guess what? When you cruise into that Georgia game, because you're going to roll right through Connecticut at homecoming, you're going to beat the brakes off of Missouri, and then Georgia's going to be coming to town, and you've got one loss, and you're playing for a college football playoff, you're not losing to Georgia. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Do I think Tennessee's going to beat Texas A&M and Alabama? No. I think they lose to Alabama. I do. I think they lose on the road to Alabama. But Coach Rice just gave me a come-to-Jesus rah-rah pep talk, and I'm freaking fired up right now. I'm ready to run through I'm seeing what people say to me. Oh, my gosh, Boogie, you got me ready to run through a brick wall. Coach Rice has me ready to run through a brick wall all of a sudden. It took him 2 minutes. Let me hit some super chats. G. Smith for 2 says, where is Ethan Davis? I guess just buried on the depth chart. I think he's healthy. I don't think it's an injury issue. I think he's healthy. Maybe
red shirt.
You think so? That's the route.
Yeah, I think at this point, I think there's no reason not to redshirt him. Yeah. You may see him the last 4 games of the season, and then we're definitely going to see him if Warren or Castles goes down. But I think at this point, because to me, right now, I don't think he's going to be a 3 and go to the NFL. I just don't see that. Now he may, but as of right now, I think they're trying to redshirt him and have him the same status as Nico.
And I
think you're right.
That tight end room's pretty empty too. Let me catch up here. Timothy McGee for 5 says X factor. If the quarterback had touch, then yes. But if you tried to catch a football going 115 miles an hour and ripping your gloves off of your hand, he follows it up with 2 and says, "LOL, I'm joking with you." X. How much money are you making to catch footballs?
Nothing. I ain't making none. But like I said, I'm fast, but I'm not that fast. Not that fast.
So I think if you're getting paid to catch footballs, you got to catch footballs. Yep. I'm with X on this one, and I will ride or die with X on this one. If it hits you in the hands and you're playing D1 football, catch the football. What do you guys think? BBD, what do you think about what Coach Rice getting fired up there talking about October?
I think he's got every right to be, and his fans, why not? I used to get on here every single week before Hypo got here and talk about how we were going to stomp Alabama, we're going to beat the crap out of Georgia, you know, we're going to destroy everybody. And then I just deal with it by coming on Sunday and talking, you know, eating my crow. But why not? We're fans, man. Let's go 3-0 over these next three. But you got to go 1-0 before you can go 3-0.
But if you go 3-0, does Tennessee lose another game? If let's all address that. If Tennessee goes 3-0 over the next 3 weeks and win over Texas A&M, Alabama on the road, Kentucky on the road, do they lose another game, BBD?
Realistic fan says sure they could. BBD, the fanatic, says hell no. Excuse my language.
Psychopath like me, no way they're losing.
No way.
It falls back to what Josh Heupel said. A good team, okay, but a great team gets better every week. They keep getting better every week. And if we beat A&M, that's going to give us the drive to take out Alabama. If we take out those two, we're going to be so built up, and our players are going to be so hyped up. They're going to run away with everything. And we are the last team on Georgia's schedule that even has a chance of beating them.
Yep.
Is the media, though, if we beat A&M and Bama, are we going to have to hear this garbage from the media? Well, you know, it's not the same old Alabama. Are we going to have to hear that?
It's an excuse every time. Every time it's an excuse.
Yeah.
The only way you. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it can't be good enough that we go out and beat somebody good. You know, there's got to be an excuse or a reason why we did it.
Yeah.
What's going to be their excuse when we take Georgia out?
I think the cumulative case of A&M, Bama, and Kentucky would be strong. So I think that would be hard to deny for the national media. You might be able to deny like just Bama maybe, or just Kentucky or just A&M, but all three together, I think you have a pretty strong cumulative case, and you certainly would have a ruckus crowd in Knoxville if you won all three of those games when you play Georgia. Heck, that'd be a good one, man. I might have to show back up and get drinking Wade and Dauber's orange liquor again out of a mason jar. If that happens, that's going to be mighty intriguing. To
Tennessee
show up
rolls
and
into
do.
that game and they've not lost, but just to Florida.
By the way,
I could
5-0 in Neyland.
I could not.
Coach Jay is.
Well,
if we beat Georgia, if we go undefeated and we beat Georgia, we win the East.
As long as we don't slip up.
Well,
yeah, as long as we don't slip up against Vandy.
My worry about all this is
Lord
the
have
freaking
mercy.
gauntlet. It is this gauntlet we're about to run into with our offensive line. Cooper is still not 100%, and he's probably not going to be for the rest of the season, realistically. With our tempo and how fast we go, and the competition we're going to be playing up against in the next 3 games that we play, I mean, we could be messed up going into that Georgia game too.
What percentage would you give Cooper right now, health-wise? Where would you say he's at?
75%.
I was going to
75.
I was going to say 80.
Is 75 to 80%? 75 to 80% Cooper better than 100%?
Yeah, than 100%. Oh, 100.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, easily.
Absolutely.
His technique alone beats a lot of players. We were sitting there watching it, me and my buddy who played a lot of line, and we were just amazed every play at Cooper's, not only his feet, but his hand positioning and just how he's able to get his body in the right position. He beats a lot of people mentally before they ever have a problem.
Well, I was
beating them physically.
I was going to say, I think Wayne mentioned something. His shoulder may be dang close to 100%, but the key is before that South Carolina game, he had 0 contact.
Yep.
Since last spring or whatever, and he's still working into that game shape. Now, by Kentucky, or maybe even Alabama, he should be dang near close to game shape 100%. But it's with this bye week, I think that just made a step back. I know he's been practicing, but that's still not game play.
Now, was it shoulder? Or was it hernia?
It was
Well,
a
that's
hernia.
where there's a hernia in his up, close to. That's what I heard. Well, I don't know where the hernia was, but
Well, yeah.
Regardless, I think Wayne put it in the chat too. Health-wise, hernia recovery, I think he's 100%. Football shape, that's a different story. That's a different story. Robert, let me hit some super chats. Robert Tuck for 2. Says you have to not lose the game before you can win it. Robert must be about 30 minutes behind because I saw him saying something else in the chat. I think he is behind. He's watching the rewatch. Always good to see you in the chat, Robert. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Travis Adair for 5. Hey, Boogie, my team sucks this year, so I guess I follow Tennessee. Need something to watch so I don't get depressed. GBO. Oh, Travis, is this Dude, this is, oh my gosh. I didn't recognize your name at first. Arkansas baseball fan that used to come to watch. We did one season of post-game shows for baseball, and we covered the entire thing. And Travis would pop in every single week because Tennessee and Arkansas were having the big rivalry that year. Good to see you in the chat, brother. Good to see you in the chat, my man. Wow. Kind of that one caught me off guard. Good to see you in the chat, Travis.
So, gosh, I never know anymore in the modern internet era, but I pulled up the fastest offenses per play this year. I don't know if that's exactly what we were talking about earlier, but it looks here like we're third right now in college football, the third fastest offense as far as our tempo goes.
I would love to see
who's number 1 and number 2. Ole Miss and Oklahoma.
Jackson. You know what? I'm going to kick a hornet's nest that I don't want to because I don't like the narrative. But number 1 is Jacksonville State. Number 2 is our buddy Alex Golish down at South Florida. And number 3 is
talk about tomorrow's video. Alex Golish was the key reason for the tempo at Tennessee. No, but I would love to see what's the time? What's the time? Does it have a
Jacksonville State at 1 is 20.2, South Florida 20.7, Tennessee 21 even.
I would love to see what the time was last year. Because I feel like many of you, and maybe I'm wrong and all of you guys are right. That's a very real possibility. Very real. But I feel like for me, the UTSA game, the beginning of that, the first quarter of that is where I feel like they were moving. And even with Cooper back, I don't feel like they were going as fast as they were at the beginning of that UTSA game. And maybe I'm crazy, but a lot of it is come to the line of scrimmage, check with me. It is what it is.
Interestingly enough, it's got like the last 3. It kind of gives all the different game variations right here, as well as the average. And interestingly enough, Boogie, South Carolina, they were a whole 3 seconds slower on the play snap than their previous 3 games. So
the previous 3 would have been UTSA, Florida.
Yeah, they were fast, and they were averaging like a little lower than 21 in those. Yeah, like 20 point something. I will say this though too, an interesting stat on this as well is on the road they're down in the 19s, whereas I mean actually it's not that surprising. On the road they're in the 19s. At home they're much slower to the snap at home than they are on the road. So interesting stuff there. Dion, by the way, if anyone's interested, is 5th on this list. Colorado is 5th. Texas Christian is 4th.
Hey,
shout out Alex Golis. And shout out to Alex Golis for including me in his video where he got hired as the head coach at USF. I don't belong there. My voice did not belong in that video. Shout out Alex. Love you, buddy. Talk soon.
Hey, Boogie, do you have Cooper's PFF scores by chance?
I can go to google.com. Well, I mean, for this
last. Yes, sir.
Let me pull it up real quick.
I'm thinking I heard he still played in the upper 70s or maybe even lower 80s.
PFF grades for South Carolina offense. Jacob Warren graded out the highest at 77. Javonte Spraggins was 73.9. Dylan Sampson, 72.2. Cooper Mays was the 4th highest on offense at 71.8.
Okay.
Where was Gerald Mincy?
Let's see. Jalen Wright was 71. Mincy was 70.2, so he was pretty high as well.
Mm-hmm.
Your entire offensive line did pretty well. Javonte Spraggins, again, 73.9. Cooper, 71.8. Mincy, 70.2. John Campbell, 63.8. Ollie Lane at left guard, 51.7. Do you guys think Ollie Lane's better at left guard than Andres Carrick?
I don't know.
Or it doesn't really matter. It's just either one.
I don't know, but I do know that I think Mays and Mincy solidify the guard in between them. Either way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the reason I even brought it up is everybody was, talking about whether Cooper Mays was back or not. And you just proved the point with those PFF grades. He's back. He just got winded. He just ran out of steam.
Right.
Getting in that conditioning room for the last 2 weeks, I think when he comes into AM, we're going to see an even bigger difference for Cooper. And that's gonna really affect that O-line.
But Coach Rice with Devil's Advocate, 2 weeks of not playing real football, 2 weeks of playing practice football.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
It hurts.
Makes a difference.
Interested to see. Let me hit some super chats real quick. Neil K for 5. Appreciate the super chat. He later followed that up and said, late to the show. Good to see you in the chat, Neil. Appreciate that, brother. Timothy for another 5. I hate that check with me. It reminds me of a high school team. Going what are we doing? Yeah. Should I throw the
dart? Throw the dart.
What's missing? What's missing from this offense going quick? But again, that's not really me taking a shot at Joe.
Seconds.
That's me saying Coach Heupel understands what he's got, what he's working with, and what we have to do as a football team. And that's what I love about Josh Heupel. Hendon Hooker's not the quarterback. And BVD said it a million times. He ain't going to be the quarterback, but we're going to keep talking about him because guess what? He was just the quarterback last year. But I think that's a big part of it is quarterback play is why we are slowing down and pumping the brakes. Evan counts for 5. Fun fact, Kamal Hadden has a PFF over 80. I made a video on that last week. Go back and watch it. It says, Vol Nation, just stop. And it pissed a lot of people off, but it's facts. Kamal Hadden's playing good football right now. That's the reality of the situation. So you can hate him for running his mouth. You can hate him for the South Carolina game. You can hate him for whatever reason you hate him. He's playing good football right now. And let me pat myself on the back. I remember somebody telling you he was going to be a good option at corner going into this year. So Kamal Hadden's playing good football. Where's Danico Slaughter?
Well, I mean, there's a reason he keeps getting played, right? He's one of, if not the best on the team. So as much as some of us like to hate on him, and most of it is from the South Carolina game, he's obviously doing his job. And nobody's hated on that kid more than me.
And that was just a one game. You can't just let one game define you for this season.
It was just a bad, traumatic game.
Yeah.
But then even you blend that into this year, right? And this is straight from Kaner. Kaner was talking about this on his show, and I'm like, he's right. When Kamal Hadden makes a mistake, it's a bad one. It's like Coach Jay's talked about the missed tackle 100 times against ETN. It was a bad one. The pass interference calls, they were bad. Like the plays that stick out from him are really bad, but he's still playing good football top to bottom.
Talking about going back to Danico Slaughter, Coach Heupel was asked about it today on his press conference. He just beat around the bush, man. I don't know what the deal is.
Something's going on with Danico Slaughter. We all know it.
There's something up.
It goes back to UTSA. People have been, every time I mention his name on this channel, people timestamp it in the comments, and then they timestamp Josh Heupel's press conference when he said that Danico Slaughter was 100% healthy, ready to go against UTSA, and he's not been on the field since. Something's going on. So whether we know what it is or we don't, is he in the doghouse? The same thing kind of happened with Brandon Turnage, right? Kind of happened with Brandon Turnage. Like he's balling out, showing out, and all of a sudden he gets buried and disappeared. There are things that happen within a program that we don't know about. And I'm not saying that we deserve the right to know about it. And I'm not saying that that's what is happening with Danico Slaughter, but it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. Like Nelson saying, I thought Slaughter was hurt. UTSA game, he said he was healthy. Go ahead, Coach.
I think it's let's just, for instance, put on the old tinfoil hats.
Oh, I
right?
love tinfoil hats.
Yeah. And say, Slaughter stole a goose from Timbuktu or whatever, right? Or did whatever he did.
I thought you were going to say Tim Banks.
Beat up Tim Banks's sister on Sunday church or whatever it was, right?
Somebody clip that.
Yeah.
Completely opposites there, still.
Right, but just my point is, one of the things we praise Heupel for and keep praising him for is the culture. And when culture is good, you shouldn't hear about problems like that. They should be dealt with internally, and it should be, you know, an internal court martial if there's a problem, and they should deal with it in that way. And do fans like things? Heck yeah, they feel like they're entitled to a whole bunch. But when a program's being ran right, we shouldn't know about it. It should be dealt with internally. And you know, when Slaughter is either healthy, out of the doghouse, or whatever it may be, he'll be on the field, and that should be good enough for the Vol fan base, and everyone, in my opinion.
I
can't talk all of a sudden.
My
Yes, slobbered, can't talk.
Yeah, but I agree, Coach, because it affects recruiting too. You know.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of times, I'm sure it's in Coach Heupel's mind is he wants to keep it in house because it should be, like Coach said, but also giving too much information to the media lets your opponents know things that they really don't need to know.
Yep.
And we already know Coach Heupel is not going to give out information that could be detrimental to our team.
That's why we see the stuff with the injuries. And I'm going to poke fun of him. I'm going to make jokes. I'm going to laugh about it. Ultimately, he's protecting this football team by not putting out the full injury updates. So it is what it is. Isaiah says, can we talk about the earth being flat? I would prefer to talk about AI and how it's going to take over the world, because that's exactly what.
Yes.
Get ready for Terminator 2. Because that's what's coming. I was just listening to a YouTube show the other day. It was Rogan. Shocker, Rogan. He's smoking weed and talking about AI taking over the world. And I'm like, oh, let's listen to this. And my wife's like, why? Like, I prefer to pretend that everything's just fine. And I'm like, no, listen. It's going to take all these jobs. And this dude's on here talking about how we're just going to give you a certain amount of money and you have to spend it wisely. And it's like, we're not going to be here in 10 years, boys, so let's enjoy the Talkin VAWLS network while we can. Do me a favor, smash the thumbs up, share the link out, all that stuff. The schedule moving forward is business as usual. Tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be playing NCAA football, talking all things Tennessee football. Come hang out for that. I'll probably drop a video first thing in the morning as well. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, our regular Wednesday night show. I got to check. I know it'll be me, the X Factor, Dauber, and maybe maybe JP will be in the house. Actually, no. I just remembered he's out of town. I will find a fill-in, but also the next 3 post games. It's audition time on the Talkin VAWLS network. We got new hosts coming in the next 3 weeks, so get excited. Post-game shows. X Factor's going to be out and about. It won't be on the channel, but we got some guys ready to go and get dialed in. But business as usual. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Thursday, I'll probably put out a video. Friday morning, myself, Coach Jay Kaner, will be in the house Friday morning, making up for today's show. He'll be in the house Friday morning with me and Coach Jay. That should be a fun one as well. We're going to do a tailgate show at 2:30 on Saturday, post-game show immediately following. Appreciate you guys for the X Factor, for Coach Jay, for White Lightning, also known as Prison Cell Bob, for BVD, who I thought was wearing a Tennessee sports coat, but it actually looks like a 1980s Tennessee jacket. For the Sethinator, for Dark Mode, Coach Rice, who looks as beautiful as he's ever looked tonight. I appreciate you guys. I love this community. I love these fan call-in shows. But this is the Talkin App State Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
That we call home, and it's night and I'm alone and I'm alive.